Okay, so thank you very much, Jem, and good evening to everyone. This is, as I mentioned a while ago, a first of a series of stock market tutorials, and today we'll be talking about the basics of stock market analysis. When we talk about stock market analysis, we're talking about um, evaluation and analysis of a particular issue, but you're not limited to just the stock. You also look at certain industries and the market as a whole. Now, there are two school of thoughts when you talk about analysis. There's fundamental and technical analysis. One deals with when, and the other deals with what to buy. When you talk about when to buy, that's basically technical analysis. And the other one, which we will be dealing today, is fundamental analysis, and that's the uh, the part of analysis which deals with stock selection. So the main goal of fundamental analysis is basically to come up with a fair value estimate, no? An intrinsic value estimate of an issue that we're interested in. You do that by studying the financials, the macroeconomic impact on the company, and other qualitative and quantitative factors. But the end goal really here is to come up with a fair value and compare it to the market price so that you can come up with a decision whether to buy, sell, or hold. Now, when you do fundamental analysis, you basically are looking at three important parts. No? You do macroeconomic analysis, industry analysis, and company analysis. You can do it in two ways. No? There's a top-down way of analyzing the company, or a bottom-up analysis. And the next slide will show a visual of how you do a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach of analysis. More often than not, the approach is a top-down approach in fundamental analysis. And you start off obviously with the big picture analysis and look at the entire economy, the macroeconomic view of a certain country where the issue is listed. And when you do macroeconomic analysis, you deal with the business cycles and some key economic indicators. But you don't limit yourself just to the domestic economy. You also have to look at external factors. No? So you also have to look at the global economic picture. So this is really the big picture outlook for analysis. The business cycle. No? It's very important for investors to know where we are in the business cycle. The business cycle is basically just a pattern of expansion and recession. And there are two extremes in the business cycle. There's, of course, the peak and the trough. The peak is basically the end of an expansion mode and marks the start of a recession. And on the other extreme, of course, is the bottom part of the recession. Now, knowing where we are in the business cycle is very important, as I mentioned, because you would know what sort of upside or downside potential the market would have for you. Yeah? So, in a business cycle, you would know that returns are normally declining when you are very close to the peak, and returns would normally start to pick up now when you are towards the bottom of a business cycle. Now, if you look at the market lately, we were able to report spectacular economic numbers, and this was followed by a massive sell-off in the market. And it's safe to say, in a way, that the market seems to be telling us that we are very close to the peak in the current economic cycle. Now, knowing where you are in the economic cycle is also important because it will help you decide as to which kind of stocks or industries you want to go into. And there are two kinds of industries or stocks. No? There are the cyclical and the defensive sectors that stocks are classified into. And during a time of expansion, which we experienced in the last 3 years, in an expansion mode, the ones that do very well are those that move together with the economy. These have a high correlation with the economy, and they are called the cyclical stocks. Normally, these would include, for example, the property issues. That's why you'd see one of the best performing stocks in the last couple of years, the last 3 years, or the likes of Ayala Land and Mega World. Now, during times of a recession, you tend to want to go into issues that are not linked to the economy, meaning they are less sensitive to the economic slowdown. And these are what we would call defensive issues. Defensive issues are the ones that we that are very basic in nature. These are the sectors or goods and services that we need regardless of where we are in the business cycle. So a perfect example would be, of course, the food sector and the power sector. So the likes of Meralco, Manila Water, Aboitiz Power. Okay, key economic indicators. Of course, for you to have a good good grasp as to where we are in terms of the market's performance, we also have to be aware as to how the economy is performing. And these are some of the key economic indicators that we normally look at. The gross domestic product, employment, inflation, interest rates. Just recently, the National Statistics Office reported our first quarter results of 7.8% growth, which was one of the best we've seen for the Philippines and was the best for Asia in the first quarter. We were actually in the midst of a market pullback already after reaching record highs of 7,400 for the PSEI. And the release of that data last week managed to stop the bleeding for a while. The market reacted to the data positively. So GDP is a very important number. Obviously, GDP, its definition is it's basically the total output of goods and services that were produced and consumed in the economy for a particular period. Now, employment, inflation, and interest rates are very important because these are key determinants of disposable income and the consumer's ability to spend. Employment, of course, provides income for the consumer sector, and inflation measures, of course, the average increase in prices and therefore the purchasing power of consumers in a particular economy. Interest rates are very important because it's a key determinant of the cost of financing for listed companies and even for consumers who are borrowing. And it's also very important in terms of arriving at intrinsic value, since a key determinant in, for example, a DCF, discounted cash flow valuation, is the discount rate that takes into consideration the benchmark interest rates into the equation. Two other key economic indicators would include the budget deficit and sentiment indicators. Sentiment indicators are produced quarterly or done quarterly by the Bangko Sentral, or the Central Bank of the Philippines here. It's a very good leading indicator as to what to expect for the market going forward. Now, the budget deficit has been a key variable for the Philippine market of late. If you noticed this year, the government managed to get a ratings upgrade from two important credit rating agencies, Fitch and S&P. This was because of the government's great improvement in terms of managing the fiscal deficit and the consolidated public sector deficit. The Aquino administration was able to uh, manage expenditures and at the same time improve revenue collections. And that's why the deficit management was a key driver for the stock market's rally to record highs this year. It's also important for us to be aware as to what sort of fiscal and monetary policies that are prevalent in the market right now. I mentioned about the deficit being a key driver, the economy's performance, but we also want to point out that a key driver in the market's performance of late is liquidity. And this is largely uh, the effect of an expansionary monetary policy. So when you talk about monetary policy, basically this is where the central bank comes in and helps the economy's performance by adjusting their benchmark interest rates. In the case of the Philippines, that's the overnight rates. In the case of the US, it's the federal funds rate. After we encountered some problems in the US, like the Lehman crisis and the European crisis, most of the central banks resorted to an expansionary mode of monetary policy, which is why we saw QE1, QE2, and now QE3. And a lot of those liquidity and money that were printed went to emerging markets like the Philippines. That's why I wanted to highlight the importance of monetary policy. So the bond purchases and money printing is basically part of open market operations, which is another key tool of the central banks. That's besides reserve requirements also. Now we go back to fiscal policy. Fiscal policy basically is the government's ability to fuel the economy through government expenditures. And this is done through pump priming, either the government itself or in partner with the private sector, like what we're seeing with the PPP. Okay. Jan, do you have any questions before I go on from the audience?
So far, non connected to the content. You can go on, Jovis.
Okay. After the macroeconomic analysis portion, you go to the next step of the top-down approach of analysis. You select what sort of industries would perform well given the current economic conditions. And it's very important when you do industry analysis to be able to classify what sort of industry that the issue or stock that you're looking at belongs to. And we talked about cyclical and defensive issues a while ago. And there's also a third sort of industry, and these are the growth industries. These are the sunrise industries, which are normally characterized by strong growth in sales, regardless of the business cycle. And I think one of the growth industries right now in the Philippines is the tourism and gaming industry, as an example. Very important also to know where in the industry life cycle you are. You either are in the startup stage, consolidation, growth stage, or maturity, and then eventually the declining stage. Those that belong to the startup stage are, you normally see a high level of research and development expenditures. And during the very early stages or the infant years of the company, this is where you see a lot of losses initially as the company tries to build up market share. Eventually, this would go into the growth stage, rapid growth stage, eventually mature, the mature stage, and finally the declining stage. This is a visual of the life cycle of the typical industry, and you will see the characteristics of of each stage. No? Okay, now we go to the last stage of the top-down analysis, and that's going to the company analysis itself. Now you can divide it into the qualitative and quantitative part of analysis. Basically, when you talk about qualitative, you want to see the quality of management, their ability to manage costs and handle, be a motivator to their people, and be able to achieve company goals that were set by the board of directors. Now, some key factors to consider, of course, is the experience of management, their age, their history, no? The performance history, their ability to be able to improve market share, and the likes. The more a lot of harder work would be needed on the second part of company analysis, and that's the quantitative portion. The goal of which is to understand the risks involved in investing in a company. So that's why you look at the financial, operating, and business risks. You basically do financial ratio analysis and do projections like doing regression analysis. Some key information, of course, would come from the financial statements. And there are three important financial statements: the balance sheet, which would show the assets, liabilities, and equity; the income statement, which shows sales and all the way down to the net income of the company. And the third statement, of course, is the cash flow statement, which would show where cash is coming from and how the company's cash is being used. Financial ratios. No? There are several types of financial ratios: liquidity, leverage ratios, profitability ratios. Now, we would go into some examples. No? But liquidity ratios, some of the common liquidity ratios. By the way, liquidity ratios, of course, is the measures the ability of the company to pay maturing debt obligations. And two of the liquidity ratios are the current ratio and the more liquid quick ratio. And the formula, of course, is shown here in the slides. No? With these kinds of ratios, the higher the current and quick ratio, the better and more better ability for the company to be able to meet maturing obligations. Therefore, this would be more attractive to investors. And there are, of course, the debt ratios, which would show how much of the company's capital are in the form of debt relative to equity, for example. So, of course, the more common debt ratios would be the debt to shareholders' equity ratio. We have also the total debt to total asset ratio, and the interest coverage ratio, the times interest earned ratio, which is normally used by credit rating agencies in rating companies. Now, we would show you an example, no, of liquidity and debt ratios of certain listed companies. We're showing you here two food companies, no, Jollibee Food Corporation on the left and Universal Robina Corporation. And you, in this example, you will see that URC obviously has a better balance sheet and better ability in terms of meeting obligations due within the year, with the current ratio of almost 2 times compared to Jollibee, which is roughly around 1 time the current ratio. The same could be said in terms of URC's quick ratio. So URC can meet obligations 2 times better than that of Jollibee, based on this example. You go down to their debt ratios, you will see that URC has 0.5 debt to equity compared to Jollibee. So even from the capital structure basis, now URC has a better balance sheet definitely overall. But in terms of interest coverage, Jollibee's operating income can cover 24 years of interest based on this example compared to that of URC. So Jollibee is showing uh, is a more liquid company uh, in terms of income. We now go to the profitability ratios, and when we talk about profitability ratios, it just shows how much of the company's sales are being converted into profit from a gross profit level, operating income level, and eventually up to the net income level. And we also look at the returns, or the ability of the company to generate profit from their assets and from their shareholders' equity through the ROA and ROE. Now, going back to Jollibee and URC, you will see and compare, no, the profitability margins, and URC is showing higher margins overall. The company manages to generate 25% of their sales, is translated into gross profit, and 10% margin in terms of operating income. Net income, they're basically almost equal at 3.5 times. Now you go to return on equity and return on assets. URC has a slight edge in terms of ROE, while Jollibee is slightly higher in terms of ROA. Other ratios, these are mostly market ratios that are very important and we looked into as an analyst. We have, of course, the price earnings ratio, which is normally used as a measuring yardstick for investors whether a stock is expensive or cheap. No? Some investors also like to look at how much yield they are generating in terms of dividends. So they're looking at dividend yield besides capital appreciation when they invest. We also have dividend payouts, cash flow, and of course, book value per share, which is also another important metric that investors look at when they do relative valuation. Now, the Jollibee URC example would show that URC compared to Jollibee, if you're looking at this two as your universe of stocks, for example, no, URC will come out more cheaper at 19 times PE compared to Jollibee at 28 times. The same could be said from a price to book perspective, as URC is trading at only 3 times price to book value compared to the 5 times of Jollibee. Also, in terms of dividend yield, URC has a slight edge over Jollibee. Now, I mentioned a while ago that the main goal in terms of fundamental analysis is to come up with a fair value estimate of a stock or issue that we invest in. And these are three methodologies now in terms of estimating fair value. You do a relative valuation analysis, you do intrinsic value through discounted cash flow, through the time value of money, or you do a net asset valuation of the company. When we do relative valuation, basically you're comparing a stock to another issue or another asset. Basically, what's important here is that we must be able to identify a comparable company. Once you're able to do so, you have to look for market values which can be converted into standardized values. Of course, I mentioned a while ago, an example would be, of course, the price to earnings ratio or the price to book value ratio. Now, to know whether a stock is cheap or not, let's say, for example, in terms of their PE, one way to determine is to compare it with its comparables. And another way is, of course, to look at its historical PE, whether it's trading above or below its historical average. Now, I've used Jollibee again, no, as an example for doing relative valuation. And you will see on the right side of this table that Jollibee, based on forward 2013 earnings, is trading at 30 times PE, while the median average for Asian comparables are trading at 16.4 times, while the global restaurants are trading at around 16.8. So based on this example, you can conclude that Jollibee is relatively expensive compared to its comparables, listed comparables. The another way of determining fair value is to do an intrinsic value analysis, and this can be done through a time value approach, no, which is the DCF valuation. DCF is basically uh, done. Uh, you value a company by summing up the projected future free cash flows and then discount it with an appropriate discount rate. Therefore, you can conclude that when the discount rate is low, you can give a higher valuation for the stock, and vice versa. Another variable is, of course, the earnings power of the company. So the higher the earnings power of the company, the higher the value, and vice versa. We have a DCF valuation here of Universal Robina, a 10-year projection, a 10-year cash flow. Uh, and in this example, you will see the annual cash flow, eventually the terminal value. And down the line, you will see on the last part of this spreadsheet the fair value estimate for URC. Having discounting its the projected 10-year cash flow from 2013 to 2023. It will come out at around 132.18 pesos per share. Next is a net asset value valuation, wherein you value a company by looking at how much each of its assets are worth. No, if it was broken up, for example, and do a sum of the parts type of analysis. Usually, this is done for conglomerates and real estate companies. Because conglomerates normally would have a basket of assets or subsidiaries which you could value separately and do a sum of the parts. The same could be said for real estate firms, wherein they have numerous properties or real estate assets which could be marked to market and valued after that. We have an example here of a net asset valuation of Metro Pacific Inc., no, which has under its umbrella Maynilad, Beacon, Metro Pacific Tollways, and the hospital group. And if you do the sum of the parts valuation, um, eventually you would arrive at a net value estimate of Metro Pacific at around 7.64 pesos per share. Okay. So basically, that's a very brief summary of how you do analysis uh, in the stock market. We, there would be subsequent webinars which would dig deeper into the specifics of analysis, whether it's the macro, industry, or company analysis. But now that we've given you a broad picture, we would like to show investors here that such analysis is available, made available by our research team through the AB Capital online website. And this can be seen by logging in if you're a online client on the research portion of the website. Actually, when you log on to the website, the first page that you will see will actually show you the latest research reports. We have daily reports, weekly reports, and company reports there. But when you log on to the research website, portion of the website, you would actually see the older reports, no, which are archived in the AB Capital online website. So with that, I'd like to pass on the mic back to Jam.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jovis. It was very, very helpful. And while you were doing your presentation, the questions have been coming in. So before we actually move to the next part of the event, we'd like to just go through some of the questions from the audience. And of course, just to let everyone know, if you guys again are on Twitter, if you have a Twitter account, this event, you can join us and converse with us through the hashtag AB Capital. Okay, Eileen, Pang, and Regine, we see you raising your hands earlier. So if just confirm with us through chat if you would like us to open your mic, or maybe you just accidentally press that, please let us know so that we know if we can unmute your mic. Okay, first few questions. Since we are on the reports and you're showing it right now, Jovis, no, Michael Bryan was asking actually earlier where you can see the liquidity ratios and debt ratios of the companies listed in the exchange. Is this also available on the website, as you mentioned?
Yes, Jam, it's available on the website. Actually, Rick will be showing you uh, part of the Technistock platform has a research portion also. Besides the reports that are generated by our analysts, there are financial ratios which are provided by Technistock. So all listed companies have their financial data available through the online website of ABCAP. So the liquidity ratios and all the ratios that I mentioned can be accessed through the AB Capital online research page.
Okay, and definitely, as you mentioned, everybody will in this room will be seeing that in a few minutes. Still from Michael, yung ang tanong niya is yung inflation rate po ba mas mababa, mas maganda sa market natin?
Yes, if inflation is low, it means that prices are not going up that much. So the ability of consumer to spend and buy products and get services would be cheap now. So the propensity for consumers to spend would be higher, and that would definitely contribute to economic growth and to profits of most of the listed companies. And at the same time, it also has a bearing on interest rates because if inflation is low, it puts less pressure on financial services companies to pass on the higher costs of living through interest rates. So it also has an impact in terms of determining interest rates.
Okay, a few more questions here. Let's see. Do you have going back to start? You were mentioning and you were discussing top down or bottom up analysis, right? Do you have any examples or samples for the top down or bottom up analysis using real stocks?
Yes, we periodically come out with market outlooks. And when we do our analysis, we always start off with, of course, the outlook on the economy, and we give our projections. And then we go into specific sectors which we think would do well given the current conditions of the economy. And I think just recently we've done so, and we mentioned that the economy should be able to sustain the growth trajectory. And then we identified the industries that we like, and specifically we mentioned about tourism and gaming, which we think should do well, banking and property, given the current low interest rate environment. And then we went to specific sectors, no? Specific companies. Under the gaming sector, we like Bell Corporation, Bloomberry, and for property, we identified Mega World, Ayala Land, and Century Properties as an example.
Okay, perfect. Given that there was a drop in the PSE index recently, which stage of the cycle are we in right now?
I believe that we're very very near the peak right now, Jan. At 7.8% GDP, I think it only shows that it would be a hard act to follow going into the next couple of years. But I don't see a decline in terms of economic output, but rather a slowdown. So we're probably near the peak of the economic cycle going into, but we might stay near the peak for a while before we see a decline. I think we'll start seeing a decline when we start feeling the pressure of higher interest rates and higher inflation, which right now we are not seeing yet. I mentioned a while ago about leading indicators like consumer and business confidence. Consumer business confidence, along with inflation interest rates, are leading indicators uh, as to what to expect uh, with regards to our expectations and outlook. So right now, these indicators are showing that the economy should continue to do well.
All right. Okay. Well, Regine, if you're ready, we will unmute your mic so we can hear naman yung mga voices ng ating participants para naman kasi medyo maraming tao ngayon in the room. So, Regine, hi. Thanks for joining us, Regine.
Hello, ma'am.
Ay, sir.
Can you explain why ROE of GFC is lower than URCs when the opposite can be said with ROA?
Okay, it could possibly be because the asset base of the other company is higher compared to, I can't recall which one has the higher ROE or ROA, but I think it's because of the higher asset base. That's why the one has a higher ROA while the other one has a higher ROE.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much, Regine. Okay. Now let's mute his mic. And Pang, I will open up your mic to ask your question. Hi, Pang. Pang, are you there? Okay, so Pang, in case your mic isn't working, please feel free to just ask your question through the chat, or if you have Twitter, of course, again, the hashtag is AB Capital. A few more questions, of course. Let me just double check here. I think we do have a question from Twitterland. This is good. Let me just check. And Hubert is now typing that in. Why did the SM Prime shares depreciate after the merger news of SM units? I thought it should go up because they are profitable.
Well, I think it had to do with timing. No? The timing of the announcement of the merger happened at the time when the market was already going down. So it was a case of market risk being high. Another possibility is that, of course, with the merger, the the shares of SMDC Highland Properties would be tendered, no, for shares of SM Prime. Consequently, the authorized capital, of course, of SM Prime will have to be raised. So there would be a lot of shares that would be issued to pay off the shareholders of SMDC and Highlands when the tender offer will be done. So it's a case of also an increased number of supply of shares going forward for SM Prime because of the merger. But I think if you're looking at short term right now, these are just short term market risks, and at the same time concerns in terms of a higher supply of SM Prime shares in the market. But in the long run, you're talking about the biggest property company in the Philippines, which would eventually attract a lot of institutional investors.
All right, and let me double check here. Again, to the audience, if you would like us to hear your voice, we can unmute your mic. All you have to do is just raise your virtual hand and confirm with us, and that we can definitely unmute your mic. Okay, let's do probably two more or three more. Let's make it two to three more questions, and then we'll move on to showcase, of course, your website through Rick. Let me just check here from Jackie. What is a good benchmark for interest rates? This is with regards to DCF.
Normally, we look at the 10-year treasury bonds in the Philippines as a benchmark, Jam. So right now, the last time I checked, I think it was doing around 3.54%.
Okay. All right. So, Jackie, if you have any follow up questions, just let us know. And let me see, I think there is another question from our Twitter wall. Does the 7.8% GDP for the year, driven by the midterm election euphoria, he's seeing or she's seeing some stocks going down. Any thoughts on that?
Well, in a way, yes. No, the spending done on the election-related spending has a multiplier effect on the economy through job creation and purchases of goods and services that are election-related. So there's a one-time contribution to the economy. So the answer to that question is yes, but to a large extent, it's not the biggest contributor to the economy's growth. I think the growth came mostly from the services sector.
Okay, all right. And one more question before we move on. I know you were discussing earlier about, and you have examples on the ratios. Given all the ratios, would you pick URC or JFC?
Uh, I would take both. If you look at the numbers, obviously URC would appear to have an edge over Jollibee. But throughout the years, there's a reason why Jollibee is more expensive compared to URC, and that's because of the history of excellence and the track record of the company's management. You know. So if I were to choose, I would have the two of them on my portfolio.
Okay, you heard it here. All right, thanks, Jovis. We will get back to you, of course, with all the other questions. There are still more that are coming in. So at this point, we would like to turn over the mic and presentation, of course, to Rick Enriquez. Rick is actually head of IT at AB Capital Securities. And what he's going to do for us tonight is to go through or do a walkthrough of the website as you log in. Hi, Rick. Good evening. And of course, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jam. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Jam.
Go right ahead, Rick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Tonight I'm going to walk you through the online stock trading system of AB Capital Securities. And to those who are already familiar in using our system, this will be like a refresher seminar. This is our website. You can access our website at www.abcapitalonline.com. Our system provider is Technistock Philippines Inc. As we all know, Technistock is the Philippines' leading provider of investment tools for financial professionals. In our homepage, we have incorporated all the essential information that a new client would like to know about online trading and our company. These are getting started, FAQs, tools, contact us, and about us, and others. Since most of these are self-explanatory, I won't be discussing them in details. I'll jump directly to the major features of the online trading system. One of the features of our system is the 7-day free trial. Click this button, start a trial account. and fill out the form and click the register link. In a few minutes, you'll receive an email from us with a system generated username and password. With this, you will be able to access our website immediately, and you will have a glimpse of what's inside our web trading system. Please be reminded that you can only register once per email account. Now, how do you open an account? This is the sign up button to register online. Another way to open an account is just to download the blank online trading application forms from our website. Just click this getting started and click this link, the account opening forms. Here you'll be able to download the forms of all types of accounts. We have individual, joint, and corporate account. Now, mm, the minimum initial deposit to open an account is 10,000 pesos, and there is no minimum maintaining balance. What is interesting in our system is that it is easy to use. You can access it using your computer, mobile, or tablet, whether it's a Mac, an Android, or a Windows. Our system is available 24 by 7. You can view your cash and stock position and compose your orders anytime, anywhere in the world, as long as you have internet connection. Also, the website is secured. We use a 128-bit encryption protection through the SSL, no, to ensure that transmission to and from our online trading site are protected against unauthorized access or intrusion. How can you tell that our website is secured? Well, check the URL of our website. Unsecured website starts with the letters HTTP or none, while secure websites start with the letters HTTPS, this one. Okay, and it has a lock icon. Now, if you want to view the security information, just click this icon, and you will have the information that's here. No, it's 128-bit encryption. Once your account is activated, you can now trade online. The next question is what browser to use. You can use any of the leading browsers like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, or Internet Explorer. But we recommend Google Chrome because it's fast, clean, and simple. Let's now log into our system. Uh, I'll key in my username here and my password. Click the login button. This is our online training system. On the upper right corner of the window, you will see your username, the logout link, the name, the date and time, and the market status. Since it's already past 7, the status now is market is closed. Okay. It has 7 menus and various sub-menus. No? First, we go to the main, and under the main is the home page. Here we have the latest reports, which Jovis mentioned earlier, that this is where we post the daily, the weekly advisories, company reports, and by our research group. Here we have announcements. No? This is where we post the announcement from the PSE. Right now we have an announcement that that there will be no trading on June 12, being a holiday. And the PSE market news are the daily news feeds from PSE. Now, if you click account info, This is the portion where you can change your password. No? Just key in your old password, the new and confirm password, and click the update password. On the right side is where you can update your profile. Now, now if you want to receive by email the trade alerts, the morning session prices, and closing prices, just check these boxes and click the update profile button. Now let's go to fund transfer. Fund transfer is where you can withdraw funds from your online account. Accomplish this form and click the confirm link, and as an added security, we will send you an email requesting you to confirm the accuracy of your fund transfer request. We will process your fund transfer request only upon receipt of your confirmation. Now, what is really nice about this feature is that you don't need to go to our office to withdraw your funds. Once you confirm your fund transfer request, we will deposit your funds to your bank account. Please take note that we only transfer cleared funds, meaning if you sell your stocks on Monday, the proceeds will only be cleared on Thursday. This is the T plus 3 or the trading plus 3 days rule. Now we go to charts. If you key in the, let's say, MER and the stock code, you will see the chart of Meralco. You can view it on bar chart, on line chart, and candlestick chart. Okay. Now we have the research. This was discussed by Jovis. We have the company data, the company profile, the valuation, the financials, dividend history, and the company news. Now we go to quotes. Under main quote, here you can monitor the real-time prices and bids of not only 6 stocks, no, but 30 stocks. This this is 6, and another 6 here, here, and here. You can still add more stocks from here. Okay. You go to analytics. If you are more on technical analysis, this features is for you. We have the daily quotation, 52 weeks, and etc. The news, we have the daily news coming from the PSE and Technisac. They have their own research and news, which they have post their news here. Now we go to trading. This is where you, if you click the view portfolio, you will be able to view your cash and buying power and your stock positions. The stock position includes average cost, the market value, and of course the profit and loss. Now if you want to trade, you click the new order here, and you click if you want to buy. Let's try. Let's buy ICT. We click quotes, get quote. The system will show you the bid and ask of this stock, and the last price is 85. Okay, I'll put 1,000, and I'll put 80 pesos. You will notice that there is an icon. yeah, icons here, plus and minus sign. Yeah, if you click the plus sign, it will increase your price to the next fluctuation of ICT. No? And you can choose the term you like. No? Day order, if you want it during the day, or GTW, or good till cancel. GTW is an order or sell at specified price, which remain outstanding for 7 calendar days. That's for GTM. It's valid and outstanding for 29 calendar days. Now, if you click preview, you're prompted to put your password here. Click send. Okay. Um, the order was posted, but the market is already closed. Please be reminded that the order will be sent to the next clearing trading date. Sorry. Okay. If you go to view orders here, uh, the posting will be here. Okay. Again, going back to the new order, you can also post adlat and iceberg. Okay. Adlats are those that are anything less that are less than the normal standard shares, while as iceberg are the disclosed quantity orders. No? It's a large single order that has been divided into smaller lots for the purpose of hiding actual order quantity. Okay. The view trades is where you will find all those postings that were done during the day. Now we go to the display of the system. Now if you click the trade tickers, the ticker will be on top of your windows. Uh, since it's already since the market is closed, the live ticker we won't be able to see it now. Now if you click the extended view, the market glance on the right side will be shown on the left side, and a quick trade on the right side. Here. Yeah. On the market glance, you will see the best gainers, the worst losers, and the most active. Okay. You'll notice that the ticker plus the market glance and the quick trade are stationary, and wherever you go uh, to any pages of the website. If you go to the news, these market glance and quick trade are still on the window. Is one of the uh, great feature of this system. Now, just another link that was added is if you if you see this buy and sell link here, you just click this one, and you will go directly to the uh, new order page. Okay, and this market glance also, you can click the indices and it will show you the present indices today. And we have also the quick link If you click multiple bid, it will show you the multiple stocks you've chosen. And if you click bid and ask, it will be shown here, and buyer and seller. Okay. Uh, I think that will be all now for the demonstration of the website. Okay. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Before you go, we have a few questions for you
Yeah. Okay.
on the website. From Michael Bryan again. Is the charts updated on real market trading time? Is it live? I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
is it
live. It's real time.
real time? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Perfect.
You'll see the date here. It's June 6, 2013.
Okay. All right. Is there a certain delay that they would expect? A few minutes or
Probably seconds, no? To 1 or
just
2 seconds.
wow. Okay, just a few seconds. So it
Yeah.
is definitely
And I
real
forgot
time.
something, no? The
Yes.
trading, the posting of your order, like this one. When you post this your transactions here, it will take you only 5 seconds. Sorry, before
Oh,
they are posted to the PSE.
got it. Okay.
It's just yeah, yeah.
Okay. Just double checking if there are any technical questions. Nope, so far. But in case there are some about the website, we will definitely come back to you. No,
Okay.
Regine, I see you open. Yeah, okay, and he put his virtual hand down again. All right, thanks, Rick. We'll get back to you, of course, in case there are any questions. Thank you so much. And we will go back to Jovis at this point. We have more questions, and what I'll do is I will give you presenter rights again, just in case you need to refer back to your presentation. So Jovis, maraming questions. Ready na ba? Go na
Okay.
go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. This is interesting, no? There are about two or three people that are asking, and I've mentioned at the start of the webinar na hindi lang from the Philippines ang ating participants, but we have also some from different parts of the world, whether it be Asia, even Europe, and the US. So for overseas Filipino workers, do you have a fund manager to, manage their accounts if they start investing and using the online trading
Fund
tool?
manager. What? We have a very good fund manager, no? And actually, if you look at the performance of the AB Cap fund, we've been one of the best performing funds in the past couple of years. So the answer to that is yes. Now, to accommodate OFWs, the process of opening an account with us, that I have to check, Jam. But we've had several OFWs, expats, and foreign investors who have come to the office and opened an account before. Uh, the process of accommodating and opening the account, that I'll have to check. Perhaps we can post it on the website to address that question later on. Mhm.
All right. Okay. And okay, let's now move on to there's one from Joey Nang. He tweeted this. He says, "Thanks very much for the interesting webinar." And his question is if the bull run is over due to current volatility.
When you talk about a bull run turning into a bearish market, my a technical definition for that is a 10% drop from the peak. And the peak of the market was around 7,400. So for us to turn bearish technically, we have to fall below 6,600, if I'm not mistaken. So we fell below that, and seems to be on the way back to that 6,600 critical level. We managed to holds support at a very important support level at 6,420. So I think there's a chance that we can recover. But besides the technicals, I think a definition of a bull market should also take into consideration fundamentals. And I mentioned about the spectacular GDP numbers, the continuing low interest rate and low inflation environment that we have, and corporate earnings growth of around 20%. So I don't see any negative on the fundamentals. So I think the bull run will continue. The market is going down because of concerns about the continuation of the central bank's open market operations. And it's precisely because most of the economies are on the way to recovery, which is why there is a winding down of quantitative easing. There seems to be lesser need for that. No? So I think the fundamentals would tell me that the bull run is not yet over.
All right. Okay. Now for let me check. Okay, Carlos Arispe. What cycle are we now? Startup, consolidation, maturity, or decline stage?
Well, that is the industry part of the analysis. No? So I think he got mixed up with that. But I think if you're referring to the economic cycle, I think we're very near the peak. I mentioned that a while ago, but this might be an extended stay near the peak.
Okay. All right. And we have a few questions from Alexander Aguilar. Okay, we'll start with this first question here. I bought 2,000 shares of stock of company A, and the average cost is about 2.0228. I don't know, Jovis, if you need to have a pen beside you, and the last closing price is 1.68. Question is, will cost averaging work if he bought shares at 1.68, thinking that this will actually go up soon?
Why not? Yes, if it's a fundamentally sound company and that the drop in the share price is brought about by market risk and that the fundamentals of the company remain strong, I would definitely recommend averaging.
Okay, and again, in relation to average costing, he is asking how do you compute the average cost when you're buying stocks? For example, if you bought, say, 100 shares at 95.
If you bought 100 shares at 95, you're referring to how to cost average? Well, if it's how to do cost averaging, I think the best way to do that efficiently is, of course, to buy more shares at a lower price. And when the share price is going up and you continue to accumulate, you buy less at the higher price.
Okay, gotcha. So Alexander, hope that answers the question. And I'm just double checking if there are any more from Alexander. None. Okay. What I'll do, by the way, Rick, if you're there, I will make you presenter, and so that we can just show your the website while we're taking in questions, of course. Okay, from Ronald Tan. Should I start focusing on defensive stocks like MPI and MWC versus, say, MEG and ALI?
I would, no? Since I mentioned that we're very near the peak. Normally, if we are near the peak, I mentioned a while ago that returns tend to be lesser or smaller. So it might be time to be a little bit less aggressive and start uh, sort of mixing up your portfolio with a little bit of value investing. So meaning looking into defensive issues like those that they mentioned, no? Like Manila Water, uh, MPI, and perhaps the likes of Meralco.
Okay, all right. Let me see. And Eduardo did say that he is listening carefully. Well, thanks, Eduardo. Okay, from let's see. Okay, Rolando, how many percent is the charge for that 80,000 buy?
charge for an 80,000 by online, no?
Yes, I would
So I
think so.
think the commission charge is 0.25 or 1/4 of 1%. Plus there are other incidental charges, no? But the main cost of investing really is the 0.25 commission there.
Okay. Now from Henry Cabansag. There are over 200 stocks, and doing fundamental analysis on all of them is a little bit, it's cumbersome. Is there a technique to choose a couple of stocks to do the analysis?
Well, one way to do is to do a stock screen. There are on the website of AB Capital Online, I mentioned that there are a summary of the financial ratios, valuation metrics. Uh, you can sort the issues by certain metrics. Like, for example, you want to look for low PE stocks. What you can do is you can copy and paste all of those listed issues and sort them. That would be perhaps one way of doing it. And given that you're looking at all the 200 issues, you have to sort it by some of the key metrics that you're interested in. So that's available also on the research portion of the website.
All right. Okay. And from Carlos again, any forecast for the SMPH share?
We're working on it right now. This is a very good question. Given that there would be a lot of changes in terms of the capital structure, and of course there would be a massive increase in land bank. It's not easy to do a projection now, but we're working on it right now and expect us to come up with that report as soon as we can on the website again on our research report portion. And by the way, I just like to go back to that question a while ago, Jam, about how can he go about choosing the stocks by looking at the 200, for example, more than 200 issues now. A shortcut way of doing that is to look at the model portfolio that we produce in with AB Capital, and that can also be accessed through the website. I think we come up with the model portfolio and every week in on the weekly report portion of the website.
Okay. Thank you. Just check. We do have some questions for Rick. I'll just let's say ask about one or two questions for you, Jovis, and then we'll just move on to Rick as well for about technical questions about the website. Okay. From Karen Mabaza, can you explain further the shares in the portfolio? How will you know if it's gaining or not? Does the shares in this is more for the website. Sorry. Does the shares in green added to your maintaining income? And how will you feel the loss or the gain? Is this something you can answer, Jovis? Is it more of a Rick question?
So her question is how to see if her portfolio is making money or not through
More or
the
less.
website.
Yes. Let me just say that again, no? Can you,
Mm.
one by one, can you explain further the shares in the portfolio? How will you know if it's gaining or not? And
Okay, I think
go ahead.
Well, I think if it's through the website, I'll have to pass it on to Rick.
Okay. All right. And
Mhm.
Karen, if you help us out here, just so that I know you have two or three questions here, so that it's pretty clear. And then let's just move to Rick first. Rick, you there?
Mm, yeah, Jam.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the question is how will she know if the share is gaining or losing?
Yes.
Like in this case, I bought Metrobank at 118. No, the average cost is 118, and today's price is 119. That's why the profit is 25.40. For Meralco, it's I'm losing now. No, it's the average cost is 386, while the price today is 380. That's why there is a loss of 9,000 plus. That's how you will compute.
Okay, thank you. And I would think that would answer her other questions because she was asking about the shares in green. And I believe
Yeah, the green is the profit. It's a profit.
okay, all right. And Karen, please, if you have any follow-up questions with regards to that, let us know. And Jovis, if you don't mind, I will continue some questions with Rick. You are still, your mic is still open anyway.
Yeah,
Um, I know you mentioned Rick earlier that there is, you can access the site like Android and some browsers, etc. But do you have an app specifically?
right
Um, yep.
now none yet, but the website is accessible to any Android or yeah,
Any smartphones, like iPhones, through
yeah,
the
smartphone.
browser.
Yeah, it can be accessed.
Okay, so Isa and I believe Regina or another participant asked about that if it could be. So no app yet, but you
Yeah,
can definitely use the your smartphone's browser.
yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. On portfolios. Okay, so Jovis, um, uh, this is a pretty generic question from Karen again, right? Is there a certain industry that's good to invest in for say newbies, trying to get into the stock trading? Um,
Okay, if you are a first timer, I would recommend that you as much as possible take as little risk as possible. So for a newbie, I would suggest that they go defensive. So the utility industries like water and power, I think should be good for a newbie investor.
okay, all right. And from Jose Daniel, just to clarify, when this is a question. When purchasing stocks, do you personally input the price of the stock, or is that automatically displayed for you depending on the input quantity to be purchased?
Again,
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. When
yeah,
purchasing stocks, do you
okay.
personally input the price of the stock, or is that automatically displayed?
No, you can input the price on the price field. Yeah,
You can. Okay.
yes.
All right. So Jose, that answers your question. And okay, this is from Romeo Peralta. So someone has told him that you don't get taxed. Jovis, I believe this is for you. You don't get taxed for capital gain when you sell Philippine stocks. Is this true?
Yes, yes, right now.
O-
What the taxes that we pay are the VAT and the sales tax.
Okay. All right. And from wow, this is a mix of questions actually from the audience, and I love it actually. I'll keep the questions coming in. Just as a time check, by the way, it is 8 o'clock. Um, right now, but we are actually open to extending. If you would like to stay, definitely you can stay with us so we can go through your questions. So again, go to Twitter with hashtag AB Capital, or you can just type in your questions. And again, if you want us to unmute your mic, please just raise your virtual hand. All right. From Roderick, are there any signs or possibility of stock market crash?
I mentioned a while ago that the fundamentals are still very solid. The only risk that I see at the moment is that perhaps interest rates may be bottoming, but I think the consequence of such would only be a reduction in terms of liquidity, and therefore we'll just see a correction. If the market will go down and investors will see that the fundamentals of the listed companies and the economy continues to be positive, they will view that as a chance to bargain hunt or buy on weakness. So right now we're in the midst of a correction. I think it's because the liquidity advantage that we enjoyed before is becoming less of a factor, and perhaps it would have an impact on interest rates. And the market is a discounting machine. It discounts events in the future. So right now, I think we are already discounting the possibility of higher interest rates as early as now.
Okay, all right. Now we'll go to Twitter. Okay, I think we do have some questions from Twitter. From Twitter handle, it's very hard to. So sorry, it's a very long handle. Anyway, he asks, does the casino companies like Bloomberry or Bell good to invest to into? Sorry.
I mentioned a while ago that the tourism and gaming industry is a sunrise industry. And now going back to the industry life cycle part of the presentation I said a while ago, I think these are the gaming and tourism industry is just in the growth stage. So I think if you come in at this point in time, I think it would be a good time to come in for such stocks.
Okay, all right. Oliver, I see you raising your virtual hand. Please confirm with us that you are raising your hand so that we can open up your mic. And we did receive your question. Okay, let's veer away a little bit away from the content, but there is this question from Henry. Are you planning to conduct a technical analysis webinar in the future?
Definitely. I think we started with fundamentals. We will definitely go into technical analysis. But the fundamental analysis part does not stop today. No? We're gonna go into a deeper analysis of how we do analysis of macro industry and company and valuation, and then we'll go into technical analysis, wherein we will go start up with a broad picture, and then uh, also do an analysis of trends, and how we do analysis of oscillators and candlesticks and the like. So definitely, this is just the start of a series of webinars, Jam.
Fantastic. And so you heard it here. For those who are still in the room, of course, you will receive definitely some emails or communication from AB Capital Securities on when the next few webinars will be. And of course, you can always go to their website just to check because they will announce it from there. Now, there are a few, we're going back to those people who would like or are interested in opening up their account online, right? So, say Cebu and Mindanao, can we just go through the process again on how they can start? So it's a trial account, and then I know there's some documents that they have to send. I don't know if this is a Rick question. Rick, can you just
Yeah, it's mine.
summarize? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can open an account by clicking this button. This then you can. These are the procedures. No, fill up the online accounts application form, then print and sign the application form, and assemble these documents and submit these documents to our head office in Makati or any of our branches in Binondo, Alabang, Cebu, or Dagupan and Bacolod. Then wait for our email, and once the application is approved, we will send you another email, and that's the time you can fund your account with our depository bank in the Metro Bank, BDO, or BPI.
Okay.
Now, if you cannot, no, can I add? If you cannot register online, you can just go to our branches or head office and ask for blank account opening forms. You can also do that.
Okay, just to clarify, Rick, no, because Michael is also asking how to deposit or fund the account. So once they receive the email with the details of the bank details, then all they have to do is obviously just to deposit, and then that will be shown in their account, right? And online,
Yeah,
I should say.
yeah. The account details can be found on Contact Us. No,
Okay.
here these are the details of our branches and the the, the banks, the Metro Bank, BDO, and BPI.
And how long, how many days again will I, for example, I'm the one who's signing up, right? How long or how soon can I see that it has been funded? After 3 days?
Mm, yes, the average is 3 days. We receive the documents, we approve it, and we ask the client to fund his account. Once he funds his account, we'll open it probably on the third or fourth day. Yeah, the account is open on the third or fourth.
Okay, all right. And for those who would like to ask your questions, I know we will end the webinar in a few minutes, but definitely thank you again for asking all your questions. In case we do not address your questions for today's session, you can go to the website at abcapitalsecurities.com.ph, click on Contact Us, and they will definitely answer those questions. All right. I think just to check, Jovis and Rick, probably next last 10 minutes. Are we still good?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Good
Okay.
with me. Yeah.
All right, so let's hear some voices in the crowd. We have Oliver actually raising his hand, so I will unmute his mic and see if that's working. Hi, Oliver. Oliver? Okay, all right. So he is asking, what happens to my stock if the company decides to delist from PSE?
If a company decides to delist, the PSE will require that listed firm to do a tender offer to shareholders like Oliver. So they
Okay,
will buy back the shares from them before they delist, so they could exit before the company becomes private.
okay, all right. So, Oliver, since you have asked that question, okay. Now, let me go back to Regine. I think, Regine, I saw you raising your virtual hand again. This is for Rick. Rick, he says that there are times when he cannot access the portfolio, especially when the trading is off. Any reason for this?
Trading is
Off
off.
or has ended or is not available? Yes. Why is it?
It should be shown because our system is open 24/7. No? Um, Probably there's internet connection problem uh, going to our server. That's the only thing that I can think of. No?
Okay. All right. So again,
Yeah.
if so for support for those who have their accounts by the way online, it do they also go through contact us or is there anything else?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Just the contact us. No? They can send the email to customer service at abcapital.com.ph. Any
Okay.
concerns, any problem, they just send us the email.
All right, okay. And there is another question by Rolando in terms of opening the account, no? So once they fund the account, which I believe it's 10,000 minimum, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
or
right.
above. In case they fail to fund the account, is there a grace period that they have to fund the account? What will happen? Will it be closed?
No, no. Uh, we'll just wait for the funds to come in, no? Or if they can't really open an account, we just put it the file in our files. So,
Okay. All right. So
yeah, there's no
nothing.
grace period. There's no.
yeah, so technically the account is just there, and the funds are there, and if they don't do anything about it, I mean, nothing's gonna happen. I mean, no problem. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Rick, this is for you again. From I apologize if I pronounce your name incorrectly here. From Gilcar or Gilakar. Um, Personally, I can access the website on my Android phone, except the dynamic chart, which needs Java. Is this right?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Mhm. But I believe that the Java cannot be installed on Android phones. And apologies, of course, I'm not a techie here. You're the head of IT, so I'm sure you know a lot about that.
Yeah, the system requires a Java program for you be able to view the ticker, the charts. Yeah, and anyway, we will refer this to our service provider, not Technistack, and I'm sure they can do something about this.
Okay, all right. Now let us go to Arlen. Arlen, you're raising your hand, so I will unmute your mic. Hi, Arlen. We can actually hear you. Go right ahead. We can hear you talk. I mean, not talking, but typing. So go right ahead, Arlen. Okay, I think he or she is a pretty much sort of the shy type. Actually, you do have. We can hear you typing. We'll we'll do that one more time. We can hear you typing, so that means your mic is actually working. Go right ahead. Okay. Ayun yung magsalita. Okay, no problem. All right. Arlen, Jovis, sorry. For a buy and sell type of investment, if I bought a certain stock at 100 pesos and then the trend is going down, so at what level should she sell immediately, to avoid more losses?
Well, he or she has to set some stop losses to minimize loss. It depends on the trader. Normally, they would set a 3% stop loss, 5%. If the stock is a very volatile stock, then I would set a very uh, a quick stop loss, probably 3%, so to minimize loss because volatile stocks tend to go down faster. Another way to do stop losses is to look at charts. No, if, for example, a stock is trending up and the investor ended up buying on the way up, they have to do what we will call as trailing stops. Normally, that can be done by looking at candlestick charts. When a stock is making higher lows and higher highs and suddenly reverses and makes a lower low or higher low, that could also be used as a trigger to do a selling stop. So there are a lot of ways. You could do a percentage stop loss. You can look at charts for stop losses. You look at support and resistance levels also as triggers for doing a stop loss.
Okay, and follow up. On the other hand, if the trend is going up this time, at what level should she sell it to avoid that it reaches its peak and then it will go down again?
Okay, you can do, for example, what I mentioned a while ago, a trailing stop. If you do a candlestick chart analysis, now, for example, you see a series of white candles, it would show that the trend is strong. So you hold on to the stock until you see either a doji or a black candle. And if that happens, you should be ready because that would be a signal, no? A first signal of a possible reversal. Several ways also to determine when to sell is you should be able to set a target selling price early. Have a game plan. So when you buy, you should also have an exit plan. So set a target selling price. If the target selling price is hit, but the momentum is very strong, you can still ride the momentum and hold on, but put a trailing stop. Another way is, besides technicals, is to look at the fundamental fair value estimate, no, as your target exit price.
Okay, and we are running of out of time. But definitely, again, thank you for everyone for joining us. Thanks for joining us this evening. And for those who are still in the room, I know we already are extending the time, but we have a few more questions. We'll take a few more questions, and then again, in case we do not ask your question for tonight. One, you can go to the website, go to contact us, and then they will definitely email you back with the answers. Or, as I've heard earlier, there will be more webinars, of course, coming from AB Capital Securities. Now, from Roderick, he asks some investors advises that they advise to buy stocks who have fallen down instead of those who are okay. I'm trying to rephrase the question here. Um, some investors would advise to buy stocks that have fallen down instead of those that are still going down. um, how do you know, or how would he know that the stock price has actually um, bottomed already? I'm not so sure if that's the right word to use. um, your thoughts on that, Jovis?
Okay, you use technical analysis to determine whether a stock has bottomed. Uh, from the chart itself, you can use candlesticks. If the stock is going down, normally you would see a series of black candles. And again, a reversal would normally happen if you see a big white candle or a doji or similar type of candlestick formations. There are several potential reversal candlestick formations that will help you, not like a bullish engulfing formation, a hammer formation, and the likes. Another way is to look at oscillators. No? You see the relative strength index, the stochastic oscillator, the MACD. Look for divergences in terms of the oscillators relative to the price. And this would normally give you a very early signal of a bottom. Fundamentally, if you are looking for a bottom, try to look at the target fair market value estimate of the issue that you're looking at, and see if margin, the difference between the current share price from the target price is already huge, meaning you have a huge upside potential. Maybe that would signal that the stock would be cheap and that the bottom is near.
Okay, and one last question from Eileen. What do you think is the advantage of buying stocks online, aside from it being easy, of course, or easy access? Any other advantages?
Okay, advantages of buying online, you can do it wherever you are in the world. That's one. Of course, the cost of doing your trades online is cheaper. Um, and also having an online account will give you access to research reports and information which are uh, available only to investors who have online accounts. And you can also view your stock position online, unlike a broker assisted account. You still have to call your broker to check on how your stock position is doing. So having an online account gives you that advantage of accessing your portfolio anytime, anywhere.
And there is that's good to know, because at least there's that autonomy. If I have more, in control, real time results and the research, and I can have an informed decision whether to buy or and sell if I'm, you know. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Perfect. Another question on a webinar. Lope was asking, will you have a webinar about like an in-depth discussion on value investing? Is this something you would probably be able to offer?
A webinar, definitely. Yes, that will be on the pipeline.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we would love to extend until probably 1 more hour, but of course, uh, we can't, unfortunately. But fortunately, as I've said earlier, you can just contact them through the website, through the link, contact us and ask your questions. And there will be a recording available, or a video recording. We are recording this session for those who couldn't stay the whole session, or if you'd like to refer back, of course, at any time at your convenience. The team from AB Capital Securities will definitely send you an email and let you know whether the video is already up on their website. So, Jovis, any takeaways or anything that you would like to leave the participants before we close the webinar?
I just want to say thank you, and I think this is very exciting, and I believe that this might be the first, no, webinar on Philippine stocks that I think we will continue to see more of such webinars coming from us, and I hope we were able to help educate the investing public.
And thank you for your time as well. And Rick, thank you for joining us as well. Anything else for the audience?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who attended this webinar, and I hope you've learned something from us. No? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And again, thank you to everyone, of course, from eLearning Edge as well, and from the team at Conversology. On behalf of AB Capital Securities, thank you everyone for taking the time to join this webinar, and we hope to see you on the future ones or future sessions as well. Have a good night, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jam Mayer, and it was a pleasure moderating this session. In order to leave the webinar room, you can click on File and Leave Webinar.